I'm ready to start this project of repairing this seat cover on this Goldwing. Nice and soft, cushy in the front side of it. The back side sunburned and dried and starting to come apart. Let's see here. Gotta open this trunk. It's easy to take it off. Just these two screws right here. I had to take those off. Put the camera down. Got those two screws off. And now I can just lift this thing up and unhook it. I need two hands to do it, but it's just hooked on. Well, here it comes. I got it off now. I'm going to set this on my car and show what we're doing here. I was going to have a friend of mine who's a lot better at sewing than I am do this, but she and I talked about it, and she showed me what she's going to do if she does it. And since I have a machine that's made for upholstery, and hers isn't, hers is just for clothes, but this isn't heavy duty upholstery. Her machine can do this, but I'm going to go ahead and try it because she's busy anyway. She works nights and she's a single mom. I'm going to go ahead and try this. So I'm just going to pull these staples out that hold this thing on and get this cushion out of this wrapper, if it'll come out. I'm hoping it will. I don't know about this side. It might be. I don't know if this is going to come right off of the foam rubber or not. I'll find out when I start taking it off. And then anyway, what's going to happen is just unsew it from this line here all the way around the top to the other side. Come back up here, and then we'll just lay this piece out. Hopefully it comes off good. Lay it out across the new fabric, trace it, and cut it out, and sew it onto this front piece. Hopefully that's the plan. I don't have a clear workspace inside the house. I got a very tiny house and there's a lot going on in there. So I'm going to do this out here on the barbecue. Pull these old staples out all the way around. The part that concerned me, I think I found the answer to that. I was concerned about these tucks that are just sunk down in there so deep, and I thought maybe this fabric is, maybe the foam rubber is formed onto the fabric and it's not going to come off of there without tearing it. Well, I just found something inside here. We got 4 of these little countersunk holes like that. And look what I just found. I don't know anything about upholstery, but I just found these 4 little tight strings stapled on to these little hooks here. There's 4 of them in the same areas as where those are on the other side. And so apparently these, if I just pull these out, I'll have to get a hold of those with a hook of some kind and put them back on these little tabs and staple them in place when I put it back together. But apparently those strings are attached to something on the other side of the fabric that give it that little tuck that pull that in. We'll see here in a minute when I pull this off. Now they're coming off pretty easy. I just squeeze it from the other side and loosens up the string, and it just comes right off of there on all of them. Now I should be able to pull this cushion out of here, or at least the backing. Let's see here. That works. I may have to try to repair this a little bit with something. I'm not sure what yet. I'll have to think of something. Or if nothing else, maybe I'll just trim this down just a hair. I don't know yet. That's kind of bad right there. I don't want to put something on there that's going to show through when I stretch the new fabric over the top. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. I have to think about that, but I might trim this down a little bit all the way around and lay another piece over it, or since it's really not that deep, maybe I can just kind of split the difference, trim this down almost to that depth. Not quite. I might get away with that. I made some room on my desk that I use for editing videos. My computers and stuff sitting here, I just pushed them back. Gosh, I have got so much stitching to remove. A lot of it. So, too much to just go and get a razor blade and start cutting these stitches out. So I'm going to have to go to the store and get one of those little tools that's made for that. It's a little hook or a little blade that's not sharp on the point. It's dull enough that you can slide it under the stitch, and then it's got a sharp spot under it, or it's something of that nature. I haven't seen one in a long time, but anyway, I'll have to get that and then come back on this. Well, I went to Walmart and I got these tools, little X-Acto knife here in case I need that, and a little stitch remover. It's got a point on it here and a little blade right in there, and that's how it cuts. Anyway, I started taking some of this off, and I was unsewing this, like this end was here, this part across here. I unsewed that, and I pulled a string that looked like you could just keep tearing it off, so I just stuck a regular sewing needle in this and put it through there a couple times and tied it off so that it will hold on there, because I don't need to take this piece off, just the ends of it. Now this piece up here, zoom in on that a little bit. This piece right here goes all the way around. And that's just on there to staple. That's what they stapled it to, that plastic shell that's on the back of the seat. So I don't think I'm going to go through the trouble of making a new one. I'm just going to stick this one back on there. And but I can tell by this line here that only like slightly less than an inch of this is behind the trunk, and the rest of this from here out is exposed. So it'd be nice to just cut this off with the scissors and sew that on. Maybe I could do that, or else I gotta unstitch all that. I think I could probably get away with just cutting that off with the scissors real close to that, and then just stitching this on with that. That's all going to be hidden. You won't see any of that, so no point in, nobody's paying me to do it. It's mine. It's my bike. And this is frustrating for me because I am not used to sewing. I got to learn how to do this. I could get Angelica to do it. She'll be happy to do it, but she really doesn't have time. And I got the machine, and I don't use it. And that's why I don't know how to do. That's why I don't know what I'm doing, because I haven't practiced any of this. So I'm going to practice it and make myself learn it. It's a DIY channel. So here's another DIY project. So for you guys that are watching my channel to look at truck repairs, sorry about that. This is a DIY project just as well, and I'm going to teach myself how to do it. Now I'm getting up here to the touchy spot, up here on the top where all these holes are. This badge. Came right through there. Be darned. It's a little pattern that was on the other side of the original. I didn't think I was going to get that back. But anyway, since this is all bad here, it's coming apart on me, and I got to be very careful to try to hold that together because I need this for a pattern. And I also got to be careful not to damage the good piece, which is 30 years old. I got to be careful not to damage that, because if I cut it, I'm nowhere near ready to try to make this piece by hand. Especially since this stitching in here is not really stitching. That is burned in there. That's artificial. And it's burned in there with some kind of a iron. I don't know how they did that, but it's not real. So I would not be able to copy that. I'd have to use real stitching to copy it. And I saw some YouTube videos. There's a lot of YouTube videos on doing motorcycle seats and upholstery. So don't look at mine for finding out how to do it, because I don't know what I'm doing here yet. I'm learning. I got everything pretty well cleaned up now. Got this one. I got all the stitchings out of it, all the loose stitches, and this whole piece is in good shape. But this one here, that's in bad shape, I got all the loose stitchings out of that. Here's another one. A couple here and there, but anyway, this thing is ready to make a pattern out of. I think what I got to do is this little reinforcement piece that they stapled to the plastic shell of the seat. That's a little bit thicker material than this one here, just a little bit, and I think that's why they put that on there to staple through it. So what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this off of here and reuse it, and I'm just going to sew it onto here because I cut it off in the same line pretty much. So when I put that alongside that line, and this one will fold out right about to there, so that'll work. I'm going to go ahead and sew. I'm going to cut this off of this old one and just sew it on I'm not going to worry about all these stitches and stuff. I'm just going to cut around the outside of it, and I'll just sew right over that onto this, because I can do that now while it's flat. If I try to sew this part first, this has to open up and sew onto this, onto the back of this, and when I do that, this is all going to be curved and bent and twisted real tight, and so it's going to be hard to get that through the machine there. I got that piece on there. Not the neatest job, but it's okay. Did it myself. Something weird about it though. This end here, I started right there where it was on this, and when I got to this end, I got an extra inch of that material. So I don't know why that happened, but maybe this piece shrunk. Maybe this older piece shrunk up more than this heavier piece there. Anyway, that's done. Now what I got to do is sew this just like this. I got to sew it onto this. I'm a little bit concerned because I started at one end and wound up with an extra inch of the other piece on that one. So am I stretching one side of this while I'm sewing it? I don't know. I don't want to do that here. So I guess I'm going to mark, I'm going to find the middle of it, and in the middle of this, and I guess I'll mark it. Just fold this in half and find the middle. Okay, I'll mark this in the middle, and probably every few inches I'm going to mark it again, and then I'll just do that on the other side of this too, so I can kind of have an idea if my marks are close to matching up or not. By the way, I'm not sewing it on like this. I will do the second seam that way, but the first one goes on this way. It goes on like that, and then once that's sewed, then this flips over, and then we sew it again right next to it, about a 1/4 inch away from it, or 1/8 of an inch away from it. But I got to make sure that this line here is a good 1/2 inch in there, so I don't miss this edge. I got to sew that first line a good 1/2 inch, like where my thumbnail is. So when I flip this over, and that's going to hold tight there, then the next line will be about halfway between that and the edge here. So it'll you get 2 seams on there. The video that I watched doing upholstery on a motorcycle seat, they used a bunch of paper clips like this kind right here. I only got one little one and one big one, but I got a whole box of these kind of paper clips, because you can't use safety pins or what do they call them, straight pins on this material because you poke a hole in it and it'll be permanently visible. It's not like a fabric that's made out of thread that hole will not show up if it doesn't rip. Well, you can't do that with this, so I'm going to line up my two center marks here, this one and this one on this side. Put a paper clip on it. There's my first stitch. I went just a little over 1/2 inch, maybe 5/8. Looks like I'm only 1/2 inch here, but and the reason why is because I don't want to see the original stitch from the factory. So I'm going inside just a little bit more than that so that I don't see that stitch showing through. I'm hoping I got away with that. And then what we got to do is turn this thing over and then run one more stitch if I can. Right over this. I don't know if I can get this thing in there to do that. That's going to be hard to do. I'll see if I can figure out how to do that. Went over a little bit too much down here. I got into this formed imitation stitching. I got into it, but that you can't see down there in the corner as long as I didn't do that on top. I hope I didn't. Let me turn this thing over and see. Looks like I did a little bit. Yeah, I sure did. Oh well. What do you expect from my first time? And I got into that doggone it a couple of places. Oh well. So much for that, but anyway, we're getting there. This second stitch is the hardest one to do, but since I screwed up the first one, I'm not all that worried about doing it good. I'm trying, I'm practicing. Here's what I do since I don't know any better. You know, you got the bobbin thread on one side and your main thread on the other. Well, when I finish, I don't know how to finish it good. If I go in reverse with the sewing machine, it just kind of messes up the thread, gets it all tangled up on the needle and stuff. So anyway, I just stick a regular sewing needle through, thread on one side, poke it through to the inside there, and then I just take these two and tie them together. Now I don't know what the right way to do it is, but this can't be too awful wrong. It works. And anybody that knows how to do this is welcome to share any comments. Well, I'm going to tie off all of these that way that I finished up, and then I'll snip them off a little bit. Then I got one more little sew to do, just this little piece here that I had to unsew part of it on the ends. I'm going to put that back on there. Got it done. The only thing I don't like is where I messed up right in here. And again over on this side, but oh well. I'm learning. We made this just a little bit tight anyway, so I got the foam rubber here in this hole here, this hole over here. I'm just going to take a sharp kitchen knife and just try to trim down just a little bit, almost down to the depth of that hole. I'm just going to try to trim just a little bit of this rubber off and see if that'll help keep it from showing through there. I shaved a few little pieces off right around those holes there, and not quite as deep as the holes, but enough to kind of split the difference. I'll go on ahead and, well, this plastic is coming off. Put that back on there. Plastic's got to line up with these holes, got to line up with that plastic for these strings in here to come through. Figure out how to do that, how to get those through there. I think I'm going to have to put a hook on them or something, or tie a different string onto each one. I think I'll just do that. I went out in the shop and I found 4 pieces of wire that I cut off of something the other day, and they were just laying on the floor next to my electrical junk. So I did not cut these for this, but I just stuck one on each loop of that string. I'll go ahead and feed those through there. Another thing I saw in that video where they did the motorcycle seat, they said to use stainless steel staples, and I agree with that. I didn't know there even were stainless steel staples that I could get. I didn't know about that, so I'm glad to. They were pricey, like 10 bucks for this small box, and they stapled this way down in here behind this. I don't know if I can get in there. I'll have to try. No, I didn't make it. I may have to get longer staples. Well, there it is. Got it done, and it's, well, I'd be complaining if I took it to an upholstery shop and they did that, but I'm not an upholstery shop. I don't have hardly any experience at all doing this, almost none, so oh well, it'd be alright. It'd be alright. It's dark outside now. I can't put it on. We'll put this on tomorrow. Finish the video then. Here's the final part. Put this on here. Just goes on with a couple of hooks. Old dusty, and then the 2 screws on the bottom. No more holes in it. Okay. Getting to be a nice looking bike. I like that new chrome accent in the front, the new windshield that really sets it off. It's got these knockouts down here to put lights in. Didn't come with lights, but you can get lights to put in here. And now this thing is an 88 model, so back then they would have been like halogen lights, I guess, but now they would be LEDs. And I may get a set of those, and I'd like to kind of accent it with a couple of little, maybe some blue colored LED lights someplace on it. Not a lot, just a little bit. I'd like to do that. Of course, I'd like to paint the whole thing too, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. Got to get this bobcat out of the way. Got a cylinder here I had to take to the shop and get it replaced. Get it repacked. But as far as paint goes, the big truck, brought it home. I'm going to stay home for a week, and I'm going to do some body work on the truck and a little paint on that. So you guys that aren't really interested in the motorcycle videos, there's some more truck repair coming. Alright, thanks for watching.